Let us start with the second semester, Part 2, The 100 Dresses, written by L. Basor Esther. In the previous chapter 5, we had done the 100 Dresses Part 1, and we had seen that Wanda Petronsky had won the drawing competition and she was being absent for many days, and Maddie and Peggy was missing her too. Even though when she was in school, they ignored and made fun of her, but later on they realized how talented she was. Now let us see what happened to Wanda Petronsky and how the story goes about. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. Then she clapped her hands. Attention, class! Everyone back to their seat. When the shuffling of feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you. So we knew that they had a drawing competition and Wanda Petronsky and a boy had won, and they were going for the picture exhibition, and there were a lot of noise the students were creating. So as the students were circling around the room to see the pictures, the monitor brought a note to the teacher, Miss Mason, and Miss Mason made the children attentive and asked them to sit back to their seats. So she told the children that they have a note from Wanda's father, and she started reading it. Miss Mason stood there a moment and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming. This letter from Wanda's father was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. So everyone was in a tensed mood and they wanted to know, as Miss Mason was also in a very strict position when she was reading the letter from Wanda's father. Everyone listened closely to Miss Mason when she read out the brief note. Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now we move away to big city. No more holler Polak. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky. Now the father has written the note to teacher by saying that Wanda will not attend the classes anymore or to school anymore, and also brother Jake have left the school and they have moved to another city where there are plenty of funny names there and no one will make fun of them. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blew on them and wiped them on a soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. Now here, after reading the note, Miss Mason felt a little bit sentimental. That shows when she removed her glasses and put back again after wiping it with a kerchief. And with a low voice, she started speaking again. I am sure that none of boys and the girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feeling because his or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. So the teacher is not pointing out to anyone, but she is directly saying that in my class 13 there won't be any boys or girls who would tease others' name because it is very long or an unfamiliar one. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad, both, and I want you all to think about it. So she's telling the children or making the children realize that the thing what happened to Wanda, it was one of the unfortunate and the saddest thing. She wanted her children to realize what their mistakes were and to rethink about how unfortunate and saddest thing had happened to Wendy Petronsky. The first period was a study period. Mary tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wenda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. So, after the teacher said all this, she left the class, and the first period was the study period. Mary was preparing for her lessons, but she could not put her mind on it. She had always felt bad about what had happened to Wenda when Peggy used to question her about the dresses she had in her closet. But she stood still and she was silent when Peggy used to do to Wenda, and that was as bad as Peggy had done. She was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Mary, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wenda's shoes. So, when Peggy was doing such a thing, Mary could have reacted. She could have put herself into Wenda's shoes and she could feel empathy. She could feel what Wenda was going through. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wenda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Now, Wenda is full of thoughts. She's thinking if she could tell Wenda that it was not meant to hurt her feelings. And when she was thinking about it, she just turned around and took a look at Peggy, and she saw that Peggy was studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Mary, had to do something. She had to find Wenda Petronsky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her, and they would tell Wenda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and 100 dresses were beautiful. So as she was doing her lessons, Peggy started having lot of thoughts about Maddie started having lot of thoughts about Wenda Petronsky, and she wanted to tell Peggy to climb with her to the Boggins side. Maybe she has not moved yet, so she wanted to stop Wenda from going and to make her or remind her that she had won the contest and that she was smart, and they thought that she was smart and her 100 dresses were all beautiful. When school was dismissed in afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So Peggy had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peg was really all right. Now, after the school dismissed, Peggy asked Maddie whether she wanted to go and see if Wenda had left the town or not. Deep inside, even Peggy was facing the same problem what Maddie was facing. She also had a guilty consciousness about the wrong she had done. Maddie was very happy because even Peg was alright in going and finding out about Wenda. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards Boggins Heights, the part of town that wore such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzly, damp, and dismal. So the two girls they went to the building and near the street towards Boggins Height, and as they were going out, they felt like the air over there is very wet and sad. "Well, at least," said Peggy gruffly, "I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb and look how she can draw." So Peggy is trying to calm herself down by telling that she never made fun of her name. or made fun of her, calling her as a foreigner. And she thought that Brenda didn't have the sense of thinking that people were making fun of her. And she said that look how well she can draw. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Venda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry that they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not to move away and everybody would be nice. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. So as they were going to her house to meet Venda, Maddie had a lot of thoughts. She hoped that they didn't go and they will find Vanda and make her understand that they were sorry for they had picked her, and they thought that she was wonderful, and even the whole school thinks she's nice, and everybody will support her. If anybody would go against her, she and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice to her. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. I think that's where the Petronskis live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. Wisps of old grass stuck up here and there, along the pathway like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Venda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. So its description of how Venda's house was. It was small. It was shabby, but it was clean. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still, there was no answer. So they tried to find out if anyone was there inside the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no reply. And even she and Maddie went around to backyard and knocked there. Still, there was no answer. So was the part 1. In this a small summary, we saw that Venda Petronsky had won the drawing competition in the last class, and recently we saw that Venda's father had sent a note telling that they have moved to another big city where there won't be anyone making fun of their name because it was long, and everyone was sad on listening to that. Even the teacher made realize the children that how the other person felt when they made fun of them. And then Maddie, in her whole class, she used to think, she was going on thinking about Venda. She just wanted to say sorry to her and ask her not to move, and she wanted to Peggy join with her to go up to the Boggins height. After the class, even Peggy told Maddie that she wanted to see Venda have moved or not. They both climbed Boggins height. There is a description of the air over there, and when they reached on top, they saw a small white house where Venda lived, and the description of the house is given very well. They are comparing the house to Venda's dress, which looks very shabby, but it was very clean. They knocked firmly, but no one replied. So let us see in the next class what happened after they reached there, whether they could find Venda, and what was the end of the chapter. So this was the part 1 of this chapter. Part 2 will be continued in the next class. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.